Hello and welcome back. In this video, we are going to create some folders and then create one route. We are going to have multiple routes, but for the purposes of this section, we are going to create only the health route. Like I already explained, once we have this initial setup of our API gateway, we are going to be updating it as we update other services. Okay. So if we go to our auth service and then we create a new route there, we will update it inside the API gateway service. So this section is just about having the initial setup for our API gateway. Okay. So now in the source, I'm going to create some folders. Okay. I'm going to create a controllers folder. I'm going to create a Redis folder. Okay. I'm also going to create services. Okay. And possibly sockets. Okay. And okay, those are the folders that we are going to need. Now let me create a file in the root of the source and I'll call that routes.ts. Okay. But first, inside the route folder, create a file. Okay, we don't have a route folder. I think I'm going to add a route folder as well. So add a route folder. So inside this route folder, the first route we are going to add is the health.ts route. Okay. So go ahead and add the health route. Okay. And we are going to use a class as well. So class, or maybe let me import express and then router from express. Okay. Now class, I'll call this health routes. And then I'll export const health routes. This is very important. Okay. Remember I said every service we have the health and a health route that we will need so that when we set up our Kubernetes cluster, we can use it to monitor if a pod is down. And also when we are monitoring, we would use it to check on the Kibana dashboard if the service is down. Okay, so we need these health routes. And we create a private router of type router. And then initialize it in the constructor. So this dot router equal to express dot router. Okay, and now let us create the routes folder. So this will be public routes. It will return router. Here we can say this or return this dot router. Okay. So this is going to, we'll have only one route, this dot get or router rather dot get. Okay. And then this is going to be gateway dash health. And then if we want, we can add the controller here, or if we want, we can set the controller in the controllers folder. Maybe let's set it in the controllers folder. So I'll call this health.ts. Okay. So we have two options. Either we just add the callback with the controller, or we can just add it here. So let me go with this option. So export class health, public health, request of type request, and we get it from express, response of type response. This will return void, and here we just need to say res.status, then status codes dot OK. So this represents 200, and then we send the message Let me see what I used for the health, for the routes for our notification service. Okay, so I'll copy this and I'll paste it here. So this is going to be API gateway service is healthy and okay. This we are not using it, so you can use an underscore. And now this we could have easily just done. If you don't want to create a controller, you can just do this. Remove. You don't need this. Okay, and then do the necessary imports. Okay, so I think it should be something like this. Okay, and then you add your request response, something like this, and then you add this here as well. Okay, so you can use this approach if you don't want to create a controller for it, but I want to create a controller, so let me undo this. Now to use this controller is very simple. We just call health, we import it .prototype .health. okay, so this is just how we use this controller method. Okay, because it's from a class, we are using the prototype .health. If you don't want to go through this approach, just do the way I showed you earlier. You create your callback and then add the necessary parameters. Okay, so we have now our gateway health. Let's use it inside our routes folder. Yeah, so here it's going to be simple. I'll say export. I'll just export a function. I'll call it app routes. It will take app of type application, import from Express. You can use this fat arrow, and then here I'll add app.use. Okay, remember for the health routes, we are only going to use something like this. So let me show you. http://localhost:4000/gateway health. Okay, so this is how the health endpoint will look for the API gateway, but for other endpoints it's going to be something like this: API/v1/auth/sign-up, something like this. Okay, so this is how the endpoints for the other services will look, but for the health route, this is how it's going to look. Okay, and to achieve that, for the base, we set the base as empty, and then we call health routes dot routes as a method. Okay, so this is going to be at gateway. Okay, so later when we start defining other routes, we are going to just add them into this method. Okay, now we can use this method in our server file. So remember here, you can decide to remove this if you don't want it, but for me, I will just place this here. It requires app, and then this will take app of type application. Okay, and then let's import. So this will be this.app, and let me fix this. We are seeing those warning lines because of how we set up our ESLint. Okay, so now we have our health routes. Let's try it out. So I'll open the browser. I'll say localhost:4000/gateway-health. Okay, so here you can see it says API gateway service is healthy and okay. Okay, so we don't need to add the /API/v1. Okay, and this is how we are going to use it inside our Kubernetes pods, our Kubernetes deployment files, so that it will do a liveness probe and a readiness probe. We're going to see all that when we get to the infrastructure parts of the course.